Hey, it's Wobs here, and it's time to explore a new mercenary in the form of Sir Finley and see his potential with the rest of the Explorers League. The basic idea of this build is to actually scale Sir Finley up as much as humanly possible, along with Elise as your main two attackers on the starting line, and bringing in Reno Jackson to heal up our team to full for whatever two explorers actually survive the starting up a lineup, which most of the time is going to be Finley and Brann. This build was actually quite a shock for me to be as good as it actually was, because it was the very first attempt that I had with Sir Finley, who I might have over prepared a little bit and actually completely maxed him out before he actually was released. And while it does have a clear weakness of Shadow, it does have a clear strength, which is a dominating build against Frost. This build can almost always win against Frost. It doesn't matter how much your opponent mercenaries are actually leveled up. It turns out the ability to actually just completely ignore local R's scaling up damage with his equipment is quite insane. And because we are using extra spirit as our equipment for Brann, the default resistance he's going to give to all of our characters is +3. And because we are a little bit slower, that means we only have to get 2 pass of Trusty Whip off before local R does 0 damage to the rest of our mercenaries. For the mercenary by mercenary breakdown, we are using Sir Finley with Maxwell Mighty Steed as his equipment, though you could make an argument for using Exploring Monocle. I liked the Mighty Steed better just because of the fact I am using Murlocs within this team. And for the most part, you are going to be using his first ability, which is Adventure Awaits, followed by Leading the Charge, where if you want to actually protect one of your other mercenaries or himself, or even just scale his damage up even quicker, this serves as a great way to do any of those things. Though there are some cases where this ability can be actually really helpful depending on what you randomly generate, but for the most part, you're not going to be using this too much. The second mercenary on the team is Brann Bronzebeard. We're using extra spirit as his equipment to increase the tankiness and the attack of our 2 attacking mercenaries, while we're mainly focusing on his first ability and second ability for ones to actually focus on using. Though Bronzebeard spirit can actually come up with Elise, it does allow you to actually duplicate some of the steps of her quest for the Golden Monkey, but for some reason, sometimes it just moves the steps along, even though on other steps it doesn't. It's really weird. It's probably a bug, but it is what it is, worth mentioning here. Elise is our third mercenary on the team. We're using Oasis Canteen as her equipment to scale up the damage of all of our mercenaries and their tankiness. We're mainly going to be using her first ability, Starseeker, which actually combos with Sir Finley's first ability, which makes it even better. Though you will be using her sometimes to heal the rest of the team up a little bit, or to maybe try to sneak out a Golden Monkey, but for the most part, I found the Golden Monkey is just not worth that much in this build because you are going to be doing a bunch of damage with Starseeker. Reno is our fourth mercenary on the team, where we're Rich as his equipment, which restores 100 HP to all of your characters. This allows you to heal up the surviving 2 Explorer mercenaries up to full, which is incredibly powerful, even if Reno himself doesn't have the biggest damage output. And for the most part, you're going to be using his Dazzling Flexin ability to protect your other mercenaries, or his That's My Treasure to heal him up a little bit and do a little bit of damage. For the most part, you will never touch Gatling 1. I don't think I touched this ability a single time during the entire time I was testing this. And now for the fifth mercenary on the team, Murky, who we are using March of the Murlocs as his equipment, and we are mainly using him for slime time. There are times where Bubbling Bobble actually comes up, but there are very rare cases, and I'll be showing off one of them in this video. Same thing with Puffer Fister, as you mainly finish off most opponents before you actually get into the Murlocs on the team, besides Sir Finley. Finally, we have Murk-Eye, who we are using with Bubble 1 as a way to increase his attack and also give him Divine Shield as an additional way to actually scale up the damage within this team. And you're basically using him always for Finvasion. There are very, very few cases where Fin Navigator or Giant Fin actually come up, but for the most part, they don't usually, and are probably abilities that you don't necessarily need to make this team actually work. So with that all being said, let's look at some games. Okay, so they're mainly casters. Let's see what they actually have in store for us. Oh, Old Gods. Interesting. Yajiraj could be a problem, but we could, in theory, be able to just nuke him down in one turn. But we can for sure nuke N'Zoth if we do try, unless they put up a taunt. We're going to use the campfire just to see if we can get double damage on N'Zoth, because most likely they're going to use N'Zoth's first ability, which should enable double damage on N'Zoth with Sir Finley. And honestly, thinking about it, I probably should have actually just hard focused down Yajiraj instead, because we could have killed him in one turn, but it is what it is. Because we have 44 on Sir Finley and 36 on Elise. Though if they do put up a taunt like they did, they're going to take less damage, which means that wouldn't actually have killed them in one turn. Okay, they're going to focus down Sir Finley. That's perfectly fine. Going to do a big chunk of damage to N'Zoth. Oh, we should just repeat what we did last turn. The nice thing about this build is without doing much, you actually just scale up infinitely. I do want to try out a more Murloc based build with maybe Cho or something else to actually buff up Finley as much as humanly possible or make him even harder to kill. That's another video idea for the future. Finley is going to die, so is Elise, which means this is the one game where Reno is going to be actually offline. Well, now we should just put the taunt on Yogg to instantly kill him. Focus down Yajiraj, and then we just have N'Zoth to actually deal with. I think we should be able to wipe out their entire board here. Though we're going to have a little bit of difficulty to actually winning this game, just because we have to deal with 3 more mercenaries. I think it's humanly possible. One of those is probably going to be Sylvanas, and I'm assuming another one is Cookie, just because why not? And the last one is either Cho or Kazakis, I would say, probably, in my opinion. There's 2 out of 3, there's the third, and now we just have to deal with the last 3. Let's see what they have. Okay, so it is Sylvanas, it is Kazakis, and it's Vol'jin. Well, we're going to try to heal. We're going to use Finvasion probably too. And Slime Time. Oh, we could use Pufferfister to try to get rid of the Vol'jin as quickly as humanly possible. But I think I realized I couldn't actually kill the Sylvanas in one hit. Going to hit Vol'jin, which means we're extremely lucky killing the Vol'jin. We do have the Death Rattle Murloc now. We are going to probably want to focus down Sylvanas still. And there's ways for us to actually protect ourselves depending on how we want to actually do this. Going for the not worrying about Sylvanas too much, I think this turn is probably the better decision. Because if we don't really care about Sylvanas, they're probably going to focus down Reno, or we can force them to focus down Reno. We're going to summon more ads here. Maybe we can get rid of the Kazakis this turn. Put Divine Shield up on both mercenaries. Now we need to try to do the math here, because we want Divine Shield back up. We might actually just delay this by a turn. Using Giant Fin instead. Using the Death Rattle one instead. Setting up for next turn might be the solution. Okay, so they're going to go after old Murk-Eye. It's going to instantly die. Then we're going to want to use Bobble just to put Divine Shield on both. I think attack here. Summon another Murloc. That does 20 there, does 20 more, and then we just win the game. Okay, so it's a game that has an even split, which doesn't really give us too big of a advantage of knowing what this possibly could be. However, I was facing a lot of Frost, so it might actually just be that. Okay, so it is Frost. So we do have a clear advantage actually in this matchup. Even though it might not seem like that at first, we do have a way to actually just scale out the Frost resistance as much as humanly possible. I think in this game, I'm still trying to figure out what I actually want to do when it comes to a comp like this. But we're going to focus down Jaina instead of Local R, because we don't really have to worry too much about Local R if we do keep scaling up our Frost resistance each turn. But we would have to worry about Jaina as a secondary for them to actually scale up the Frost damage. We're going to use Trusty Whip, probably on the Jaina. Gonna try to heal everything up here, just to be safe. I guess we're going to use the first step of the Golden Monkey, and then also attack with Sir Finley on the Local R. They are getting our Sir Finley dangerously low. Luckily for us, I don't think they'll be able to kill it this turn. Though I do think Sir Finley will probably die next turn, which isn't the best thing in the world. We can snipe out the Jaina, so we don't have to worry about anything else. And then we can focus down the Local R. And I think we should have enough Frost resistance even for 2 upticks on Local R. There's the Jaina dead. Now we just have to deal with the Local R. I think honestly this is probably the preferred way to deal with Frost, is by not focusing down the Local R in a position like this. Though I think I do change this up in another Frost replay that I'll be showing off. Well, we can use Campfire or we can use Trusty Whip. If we use Trusty Whip, we'll just scale off the Frost damage a little bit more, which is probably the safer bet. We can use the first ability on both Finley and Elise to try to kill Local R here. We're going to use Endurance Aura. This does absolutely nothing because we have all the Frost resistance. And his Varden does nothing too because, again, Frost resistance is really nice. Probably should focus down the Kane at this point. Or Karen. Though I don't think I've realized this. If we keep up all the Frost things while dealing with all the non-Frost units beforehand, then we're probably in a much better position than we would be if we just killed the Frost things as quickly as humanly possible. But because it's been ingrained in my mind to keep Local R not alive as long as possible, that's the reason why I went for Local R second. Because I'm pretty sure the next unit they're going to be putting down is a Diablo, and I would have been correct on that. Well, we can use Summit, and then we can try to use her second to last step in the Golden Monkey, or we could actually use Starseeker. I think that would guarantee us to kill Diablo, though this is going to be out of order, which is a little bit annoying. Only plus side is the Elise will attack into the Cairn, and then we'll get into the Diablo there. And then we're just going to keep scaling up a bit by bit each individual turn. And I don't think they can actually defeat us at this point. We got rid of their 2 biggest threats. Really depends on what's on the bench. Okay, it's a Nestra, which we can again just kill in one shot. Here we can use Bronzebeard Spirit to try to duplicate the step, which if we do actually use it like this, it actually will give us a Golden Monkey instead of the plus step again, which is actually kind of funny. It's only really inconsistent which one of the steps that are actually repeated and which ones aren't. If I remember right, for some weird reason, the bleed effect is repeated, but anything else isn't. It's really odd. I don't know why it's coded like that, but it is what it is. Oh, I guess we didn't get the repeat because of speed being lowered there. Well, we can just repeat what we did last turn and call it good. And they actually managed to kill Sir Finley, but it's a little bit too late. Now we're just going to heal up to full and win here. Okay, so a team that is mainly protectors. Oh, is this the game that I'm thinking it is? Yeah, it is. This was a build that I saw a few times actually floating around, and it was actually kind of interesting to see because I haven't seen fire in quite a while and I've been wanting to revisit it. But I don't think this is enough to revisit it because Brann doesn't technically do fire himself, even though the campfire does count as fire. It's an easy trigger. It does help against a frost matchup, but I don't know if that's enough in today's meta. For a shadow matchup, actually, because if you're using the equipment that I'm thinking they are using, then it's going to be increase in shadow resistance with every ability, and it is. You're going to focus down Elise, which makes a lot of sense. I would do the same if I were them. That's what most people focus down. Okay, so Trusty Whip sadly doesn't do enough damage for us to actually just kill it in one hit. I don't know if we want to do that. Yeah, might as well take 10 attack. 10 attack is free 10 attack. And then do the first step of the quest. Mainly because I don't think she's going to survive past this turn. Though I could be completely wrong. Curious of what they put down next, because I don't know what the back row of this is actually. Okay, so it's Yulon. Kind of glad that Yulon's seen a little bit more play, giving her second ability since it's been buffed to have no cooldown. But she does make it really annoying against in a nature team. Buff up Sir Finley as much as humanly possible. Buff up him again, which puts him at 79 attack. We're going to focus down Elise. I'm perfectly fine with that. And now we're at 83 attack, which means we should just be able to almost one-shot any mercenary here. Let's focus down Yulon because she actually snowballs a bunch. I'm kind of afraid that one of the benches Lady Anacondra, and I don't want to have to deal with that. Now we can just heal up to full. And they give up. Okay, now for a team that is mainly fighters, which actually makes this look like it's going to be a really good matchup because we do have two really high scaling protectors on our team. We're just going to make the game automatically put down our first three mercenaries of Finley, Brann, and Elise. Okay, so they're Frost, but with Trigor. This should be perfectly fine. Trigor is not too big of a threat here. We can focus down Trigor. I think we should be able to kill the Trigor because we are using Brann's second ability. But then again, they're probably going to freeze one of our other mercenaries, which means we won't be able to. Which sucks a little bit, but it is what it is. Brann's probably going to be the first one dead, which again, I'm perfectly fine with him being dead. Just allows us to get out Reno to heal up the other two to full, and then we can just repeat our combo to being as good as humanly possible. Brann does die. Trigor doesn't die, but we do get a full heal here. And we can use Elise the second step to actually just put a bleed on everything here. And then probably going to put up a Divine Shield on Finley just to buff him up as much as humanly possible. And we can use straight Flexin just to do something with Reno. I know this replay, for some weird reason, the Valera isn't shown as stealth, but she is actually stealth, which is the reason why I'm not actually focusing her down. But she should die here anyway, so it doesn't matter too much. We do have Finley at 51 attack and 121 HP, which is just really funny. We can actually put down old Murk-Eye and then finish off any fighters that they actually put down. Okay, so Local R and Jaina. Well, we can still just kill Local R this turn with not much effort, and then we can also do a bunch of damage to the Jaina. Actually, does this actually kill Local R? Oh no, it kills Local R because Finley is going to be attacking into it anyways twice. More HP, do a bunch of damage to Jaina. Now we just gotta deal with the remainder of Jaina, whatever the bench is, and Belinda can just stay up if she really needs to. Okay, so Sinestra. Let's just heal up to be safe. I don't think that was absolutely necessary, but we probably should have just focused down stuff here, but oh well. Sinestra's dead. Going to hit the Belinda, just have the Jaina left, and we should be pretty good from here. There's no stopping us. Murky's going to go down because they killed Sir Finley, but there's nothing they can actually do here, so we just win. Alright, now that we're through the games, let's discuss my final thoughts of the build overall. So, this build was incredibly good for a first try at a Sir Finley Explorers comp. I hadn't actually tried out any other combinations with this. I had a few other ideas I wanted to try out, but this was the first one I came up with, and it actually worked pleasantly well, especially given the fact that I was facing a ton of Frost and not a lot of Shadow, which is the main weakness of this build, as Shadow just does a bunch of AoE damage using a bunch of casters, and you're not going to have a good time if you are facing a bunch of Shadow. With that being said, if your ladder is mostly Frost, this is a perfect build for you, as this is a unique way to actually deal with most Frost comps. And this is where my recommendation comes in. This is one that I really want to recommend because it was really funny and not something a lot of people are expecting right now. Though I do think as Shadow becomes more and more relevant, or more people are not trying out a bunch of weird random things at the beginning of the month, that this build will probably drop off quite a bit. But until then, this is a lot of fun, and if you are facing a lot of Frost, this might be the perfect build for you. And like always, if you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, bye bye.